integral part of our planning. And her first Olympic experience was in Salt Lake in 2002. Finally, Dani Arovich, Paralympian in both winter and summer. She competed in Tokyo 2020 in athletics and in Beijing 2022 in Nordic skiing. I would also like to recognize and warmly thank our IOC members from the United States, Anita DeFrance and David Haggerty, for their invaluable advice and support. So many have contributed to get. Let me also offer congratulations to our colleagues from the French Alps and the 2030 team they put together. Your presentation was outstanding. And we see so many opportunities to collaborate with you as partners in advancing winter sport. I cannot fully express my sense of joy at this moment. Utah loves the games and what they mean to the world. It has been our dream to be here, back in front of you, almost every day since we submitted our final report for the 2002 Games. And today, finally, we're back.
It's been growing for the past 2 decades. You can see it through childhood on ski and skates. You can feel it in the hearts of world-class athletes from over 30 countries that train here. You can hear it in the passionate cheers of fans who fill the very same hallowed venues that hosted the 2002 Games. Because the Olympic and Paralympic Games left us with more than just venues and memories. The Games reshaped our culture, creating a proud tradition of hosting international competitions and sparking programs that teach the value of sport and teamwork to thousands of kids every year. This legacy sets the stage for an even brighter future because Salt Lake is now and will forever be an Olympic city. It's part of our everyday life, woven into the fabric of every Utahn. And we can't wait to open our home to the world once more and say, welcome back.
Those, oh yes, beautiful. Those are more than just memories for the people of Utah. They are living legacies. They remind us of the potential for our communities in 2034 and beyond 2034. It's about helping us reimagine the Winter Games. And the IOC has done a tremendous job strengthening the Games through Agenda 2020 and +5. Strengthening the Games is also foundational to our ambitions. The Olympic and Paralympic movements thrive when we all collaborate together. This collective effort ensures that we provide the best environments for the athletes and a fair field of play. We are grateful for the work being done by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, and its implementation of the World Anti-Doping Code. We strongly support WADA's efforts as the ultimate global authority on anti-doping. And we strongly support WADA's mission. And we're grateful very seriously. We want our friends to feel very welcome and safe in the United States. In the Olympic host contract, we are 100% turn it back to Gene Sykes.
Thank you, Fraser. First, I want to congratulate the entire team from Salt Lake City, Utah, for their exceptional work in preparing to host another unforgettable Olympic Winter Games. As Fraser noted, we have listened intently
existing or temporary world-class venues that are ready.
Sorry about this. We seem to be having some trouble with our source feed. Let me see if I can get it going here. This is
one of the special
a
aspects of our project
here,
is that we have one Olympic and Paralympic village.
Crap.
It is a unique, irreplaceable experience to have athletes from all over the world together in one place. Another special aspect is that all venues are within 60 minutes of the village, and most venues within 30 minutes. Our compact games makes for a more intimate experience. Salt Lake City will become an enormous Olympic festival with the entire city center activated. Several sports, including figure skating, short track, curling, and outdoor big air competitions will be hosted there, as well as Metals Plaza and the main media center. And downtown is only 10 minutes from our amazing Olympic and Paralympic Village, and only 10 minutes from our newly rebuilt net zero Salt Lake City International Airport. This master plan enables us to elevate the 2034 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games experience for everyone. We are ready. Everything is in place. But beyond our physical assets, you can count on our people. As great as our venues are, our people are even better. I would like to invite Governor Cox to tell you more.
Thank you, Fraser. Dear President Bach and IOC members and fellow colleagues in the Olympic and Paralympic movements,
Okay, it
good
looks like
morning.
we're live, but maybe
And
we're
a
live.
very good early morning to the thousands of Utahns who have
Let
camped
me
out
see.
all night waiting for this moment.
It says it's 2 minutes, 48 seconds long.
When the people of our state get behind our effort, they are completely behind it.
We'll find out
They're
soon.
all hoping to celebrate the potential of the Winter Games return to Utah on our state's biggest holiday that just happens to be today, July 24th, Pioneer Day. I am
Okay,
honored
it
and
seems
thrilled to be here today with all of you. I
Okay,
bring the
let me
greetings and aspirations
go
of
as far
3.5
ahead as
million
we can.
special that we call the Utah Way. The Utah Way prioritizes relationships over political party, ideology, or cultural differences to solve our collective challenges. That aligns very well with the Olympic movement itself. We both value excellence, respect, and friendship. Alignment today at every level of state and local government across all parties for hosting the 2034 Games. Utah also has, that's worth cheering for. Utah also has America's youngest and fastest growing population, a remarkably resilient economy, and we're #1 in volunteerism and philanthropy. Our population is also diversifying rapidly, and 134 languages are spoken in Utah. All of this means we are ready to help elevate the 2034 Games and the Olympic and Paralympic movements. Thank you on behalf of everyone in our communities for bringing us on this journey. Now, let me welcome back Fraser to share our vision.
Thank you, Governor Cox, for sharing the best of Utah and its people. Over many years of planning, you, the IOC, have taught us that one of the most important areas of focus for any Games host is its vision. Our vision is simple, relevant not only to us, but to all of you. It is based on the word elevate. Put simply, our goal is to elevate our communities, to elevate sports, and to elevate the Games experience. The Games have the power to unite us in making a positive impact in so many ways. The essence of our ambition is to use the 2034 Games as an opportunity to do good. We believe that the 2034 Games have a vision that is focused outward, not just inward. We seek to have opportunities to partner with you, to use the 2034 Games to benefit the entire Olympic and Paralympic movements. Our next presenters will show you examples of how we can make our vision a reality and how we hope to make a difference together. First, we have our capital city's outstanding mayor, Erin Mendenhall, to share more about our vision.
Thank you, Fraser. Bonjour, bonjour à tous. Good morning to you all. As mayor of Salt Lake City, I want to first thank you for the outstanding partnership that we have fostered over the past several years. Our conversations, our meetings and gatherings have been so inspiring, and I could not be more optimistic for the future of the Olympic and Paralympic movement, not only in Utah, but around the world. The foundational element of our vision is to elevate our communities. The Games will catalyze our ambitions and help us become a more sustainable, equitable, and opportunity-rich city. Our youth are at the heart of every major move our city makes. If Salt Lake City is awarded the 2034 Games, the breadth of the inspiration that the Games ignite will know no bounds. The Olympic values are embedded in our DNA and will serve as a scaffolding that supports our youth in pursuing their dreams. We are excited to establish programs that bring athletes into our classrooms, after school programs, and our community centers to bring these values to life. The Games will also help us further unify our communities. And in a divided world, they are an opportunity to deepen connection for a cause that is greater than ourselves as individuals. 80% of Utah residents support bringing the Games back to Salt Lake City and Utah. We will make these Games more inclusive, more welcoming, and more meaningful for the world and for our own communities. This effort will also help us make sustainable environmental progress by accelerating our Climate Positive Salt Lake City initiative that centers on moving to net 100% renewable energy citywide by 2030. Hosting the Games can help our rapidly expanding efforts to improve air quality and protect the Great Salt Lake, which we are tackling as a unified state. The Games are a perfect fit for our future. Hosting the Games aligns seamlessly with the fabric of our communities, accelerates our ambitions for sustainability, and proudly represents our shared Olympic and Paralympic values. Our project has a lot to offer, but maybe the most important is the least tangible, and that is the power of optimism and partnership. We've done work, we've laid the groundwork, and we are ready to start the real work alongside you, our Olympic and Paralympic. Now, I'd like to
several former Olympians and Paralympians helped me out by loaning me skis, coaching me in the 2002 Games. Their passion for the Olympics and the Paralympics inspired me to pursue a new dream full force. And Utah was the ideal place to be. While I was training for track and field in Utah, I was recruited to try para-Nordic skiing. Several former Olympians and Paralympians helped me out by loaning me skis, coaching me, and supporting my development in the sport. Training at the Soldier Hollow venue made me feel so much closer to achieving my dreams of representing the U.S. at the Paralympic Games. I became one of 4 Team USA athletes to qualify for Summer Tokyo 2020 and Winter Beijing 2022. I actually have the Wasatch Mountain Range tattooed on my ankle, and it's because Utah, its people, and the legacy of 2002 spurred me into a brand new athletic career in my disability advocacy work. First prosthetic was made, but it is my love for sport, a new dream too. And while I may be 37 years old in 2034, my greatest hope is that I can compete in the place that made me a Paralympian and inspire the next generation of athletes with disabilities. Thank you. And I'm so excited to hand it over to Lindsay Vaughn.
Thank you, Danny. Your story is so inspirational. And thank you to the members of the Olympic and Paralympic family for welcoming us all here today. I am so grateful to be a part of this team, to help bring the Games back to a city that I love, and to help the Olympic movement reimagine the Winter Games for future generations of athletes. As Olympic and Paralympic athletes, we share the extremes of human endeavor with the world. We have moments of disappointment that teach us, and we have moments of pure magic as we celebrate at the end of a long athletic journey. But what matters most to us is being able to share those moments with our families. But often, athletes' families can't join the very dream they helped create. I've experienced this firsthand. One of my biggest worries was trying to make sure family members could get to see me compete. At many important competitions, including the Olympics, I experienced challenges obtaining tickets, accommodations, and transportation for them. It would have been so helpful to be able to focus exclusively on competing, knowing that my family had been taken care of and could be there with me, especially at those pivotal moments during my career. My dad may not have been at all of my competitions, but he's always supported me. And I'm so thankful that he's here today to support me now. I know that I'm not unique, and this challenge at the time of an athlete's great achievement is far more common than anyone would imagine. When Fraser asked me what I could do as Chief of Athlete Experience, my immediate response was to take care of the athletes' families. So along with our team, we created a program we call the Athletes Families Initiative. The program is simple. We will welcome athletes' families from around the world and help them share and experience the special moments when their loved ones compete. Our communities are ready to welcome these athlete families, to interpret for them, and to assist them in every possible way. We will share access to tickets, transportation, accommodations at a fair cost. We will create one or more villages for athletes' families, including one right next to our Olympic and Paralympic village. This will be a Games first. It's not a coincidence that the movement refers to itself as the Olympic and Paralympic family. Families matter in every culture, and in Utah, that is especially true. Salt Lake City, Utah 2034 wants to celebrate the athletes' experience in a new way. What better way to do that than with the most important people in our lives, their families? Thank you. And now, please welcome Kat.
Thank you, Lindsay. President Bach, distinguished IOC members, international federations, national Olympic committees, fellow athletes, teammates, and dear friends. Greetings and good morning. It's an honor being here with you today. Today is a wonderful day because as we gather to celebrate the magnificent Games of Paris 2024, we are also preparing the movement for the next decade. Dreams are the fuel of our movement. Maybe you've heard that before. Maybe that sounds like a cliche, but it isn't for us. Here's why. Athletes,
dream of standing up, representing their countries, humanity, of the game's power to unite the world. And Salt Lake City, Utah, 2034, dreams of harnessing our passion and history to help forge a new future for the Winter Games. Our dream is a big one, but we're ready for it. Our project has never been about us. It's about all of us, because the Olympic family is the human family. It's the same dream we've carried in our hearts since 2002, and we hope to carry it forward to 2034 and beyond. I am a proud Olympian, daughter, wife, and mother. Looking back, even before I competed at 4 Olympic Winter Games, I realized how much my life, both ups and downs, have been shaped by the values of Olympism. I'm sure most of you feel the same way. This movement is a calling. It's a higher purpose, and I'm fortunate to be part of it. My role as board chair of our project is multifaceted in all aspects of our planning. But perhaps my most important role is to serve as a voice for our children, athletes, families, and communities. 3 young athletes from Utah, Kate, Orson, and Emma, are here today. They embody the values of sport on and off the field of play. The Youth Sports Alliance, formed as a result of the 2002 Games, introduced Kate to figure skating and Orson to luge, while Emma learned to speed skate at the Utah Olympic Oval, a legacy venue from 2002. These groundbreaking programs introduce sport to thousands of children of all backgrounds and ages throughout our communities. This is the type of tangible legacy we pioneered in 2002, and it's the type we will continue to create after 2034. Kate, Orson, and Emma are now training and competing, and who knows, maybe we'll see them on the ice in 2034. I hope so. Our ambition for youth sport is twofold. First, we want to use the 2034 Games to significantly expand the reach of our youth sport programs, just as we have for the past 2 decades. Second, we want to partner with similar to raise the bar of competitive excellence in sport. That's the foundation of our vision. We want to help ensure that more youth from more nations can achieve their Olympic and Paralympic dreams for years to come. Thank you. And now let's have a look at how these dreams can come alive.
She will compete in a sport that doesn't exist yet. They will break records previously thought impossible. He will land a trick that will become a classic. And she will win her country's first Winter Olympic medal ever, blazing a trail for more athletes from more countries. We don't know what stories 2034 are preparing to push the limits, raise the bar. Continue to evolve as much as the athletes, because they will be at their best if we have done our best. Together, we won't just reach for greatness, we'll embrace it.
Hosting the 2002 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games transformed our state and lifted our country and the world at a time we all needed to be together. We built extraordinary venues and experienced unforgettable memories. We welcomed the world to our ice and snow. And in return, you shared with us your hearts, your smiles, and your passion. And as we called it in 2002, your fire within. At the conclusion of the closing ceremony of the 2002 Olympic Games, I remember being on the roof of Olympic Stadium, watching fireworks light the mountain range that defines our city. It was a wonderful celebration of the world coming together. And for me, it was a dream come true. I really, and I mean really, didn't want that moment to end. Really. We have another dream of hosting the world again and having the opportunity for my state to give back in so many meaningful ways. I love this picture. It is of me and my grandson, Nate. He isn't even as tall as the sign. The words, "No easy way beyond this point," sometimes relates to the challenges we all encounter during our journey through life. Over the next 10 years, we will have great opportunities together to enrich our communities and the world. We will also face challenges, as we did in our experience with 9/11 just before our 2002 Games. All worthy causes experience challenges. The question is what to do when challenged. Our opportunity in the face of any challenge is to work together, in collaboration, in partnership, to emerge stronger and better. In such situations, we have the opportunity to show the best of who we are, to live up to the values of excellence, respect, and friendship. You have Utah's absolute commitment to be with you side by side to face any challenge together. You will find us to be the best of partners. And finally, throughout our organizing committee's lifetime, we can bring together our team, our magnificent communities, and you, our wonderful partners, to impact the world for good. Our dream is that it can help bring unity, hope, and inspiration to a world in need of them. The Games have the power to lift and change the heart and souls of each of us. And most importantly, how we see each other and treat each other for good. The Games are a platform unlike any other in the world. If we learned anything from hosting in 2002, it is that hosting the Games is a privilege. It's one that will resonate for years in our communities. And if we do it right, it can also bring joy and solidarity around the world. Everything is in place. We're ready to deliver extraordinary games, and we're ready to partner with you to take the movement forward. We're ready to give more Olympians and Paralympians from more countries the chance to shine, to inspire, and to take home a medal, as well as thousands of new fans or friends. And maybe, just maybe, to inspire one more child in a faraway land or a nearby Utah town to say to themselves, that's what I want to do when I grow up. Thank you, IOC members. We humbly submit our ambition to you and request your support in hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games of 2034. The people of Utah invite you. This concludes our presentation, and we are eager to answer any questions you may have. We return the floor to President Bach.
Thank you very much to Salt Lake City, Utah, for this brilliant presentation. And I now invite Mr. Karl Stoß, the chair of the Future Host Commission for the Olympic Winter Games, to deliver the closing remarks of the Commission.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear IOC members, friends and colleagues, distinguished guests from Utah and Salt Lake City, dear Governor Cox, dear Mayor Mandelhall, and all the committee. Welcome here in Paris. And it is now my privilege to present the final report for the Future Host Commission for the Olympic Winter Games in Salt Lake City, Utah, 2034, and to update you on developments since the publication of Commission's report and the IOC Executive Board meeting in June. For sport, Olympic Winter Games in Utah represents a fantastic opportunity. This very strong project benefits from an exceptionally high level of public and political support, as you have seen here at the presentation. The governor from Utah is from another party, the mayor of Utah, of Salt Lake City. But they have one goal: bring back the games to Salt Lake City, Utah. This is a clear mission, and we could feel it all the time when we went to Salt Lake City and Utah. On the games front, Salt Lake City, as we have just heard, has proven ability to deliver high-level sports competitions. 100% world-class existing or temporary venues, and opportunities for further extended the legacies of Salt Lake City 2002. During our visit, the Commission, and I would like to say thank you to all my fellow colleagues for your great support and great work. We have seen firsthand these excellent venues and to witness the immense experience and expertise that exists. Enthusiasm for the games was always our feeling, from the first minute to the last minute. In every interaction we had, both at the venues and in all our meetings with athletes, sport leaders, politicians, and the private sector. As concerns the legal framework supporting the Games, I'm pleased to report that the governor of Utah has confirmed that the Utah Olympic and Paralympic Games Act is consistent with the Olympic host contract. In addition, the Utah legislature was committed to put additional legislation in place to facilitate Games delivery and ensure the implementation of the Games delivery guarantee. In recent weeks, the Ken Gardner Policy Institute has published an independent study about the predicted economic impact of Olympic and Paralympic Games in Salt Lake City, Utah, 2034. The report estimates that 2034 Games will generate $6.6 billion for the state of Utah. This is due in part to the potential long lead to the Games from 2024 to 2034. And following the recent statements of Fraser and also Chin, for both of summer and winter sports federations, there has been an exchange of correspondence between myself as chair of the Future Host Commission and Salt Lake City, Utah 2034 leadership on this subject to the WADA Code. We have received a response confirming that Salt Lake City, Utah 2034 and the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee are 100% committed to compliance with the WADA Code, and that their dedication to clean sport and to the coordinated international anti-doping effort led by WADA is absolute. This has been further re-emphasized by the delegation this morning. Thank you for this clarification. In conclusion, and on behalf of the Future Host Commission, let me once more reiterate the many qualities of Salt Lake City, Utah 2034, which has met all requirements. And let me finish just 1 minute more with a personal story and personal experience. After our last visit in April, and after the final press conference, I went to the airport of Salt Lake City. I went in the departure hall and just with hand luggage, and I went to an information desk and asked for my gate, departure gate. The man raised up his head, looked to me and said, "Hey, you are from the Olympics. Yes, man, bring it back. Bring back the Olympic Games to Salt Lake City." This is Salt Lake City, Utah. This concludes my report.
This is Karl Stoß at his best.
And he said me also, by the way, the departure gate is F14.
So thank you, Karl, for your very clear remarks, which complement the more detailed report provided to the IOC members during our last consultation conference with the friends from Salt Lake City, Utah, and which is also available to everybody's knowledge on the IOC's website. Dear friends and colleagues, you have seen the presentation of this great project. However, there remains one open question: the integrity of the fight against doping and of international sports. To explain in more detail the consequences of this important issue, I now give the floor to some representatives of our stakeholders. There I invite, first of all, Mr. Ingmar de Vos, as the president-elect of the Association of the Olympic Summer Sports Federations to take the floor. Mr. De Vos.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues and friends. First of all, of course, I would like to take the opportunity to congratulate Salt Lake City for the excellent and inspiring presentation, and of course, our colleague, Karol Stos, for his supportive, very motivating report. And I'm really convinced that Salt Lake City will be able to deliver excellent games. And thank you, President, for giving me the opportunity to share our concerns that are also very high on your agenda. And I hope that you forgive me that I go a little deeper into these concerns because these recent developments in the United States and the World Anti-Doping Agency are quite worrying. In my capacity as a representative of the Association of Summer Olympic International Federations in the WADA Executive Committee, I witnessed from close by how a case of food contamination of 23 Chinese swimmers in China has led to some events that, in my view, have potentially a very negative impact on sport and on our athletes. And I don't want to go too much in detail about the case itself. And I also happy to refer to the statement made by Aswaf less than 2 weeks ago. But it was clearly not a case of doping. And according to all the available evidence, scientific and otherwise, it was a case of no-fault environmental contamination, and the low levels of TMZ present could have given no performance enhancement to the athletes concerned. Such cases of environmental contamination happen regularly in all parts of the world and in different sports, including in the United States of America, where anti-doping organizations had closed cases of no-fault food contamination and where WADA decided not to appeal such a no-fault contamination scenario. In this particular case, also the World Aquatics, sorry for the confusion with these acronyms nowadays, but World Aquatics came to the same conclusion. Despite being a simple case of contamination, WADA was accused by some stakeholder representatives and in the media of the worst possible thing an anti-doping organization can happen, namely that it would cover up cases of doping in order to favor a particular country or a group of athletes. With the Olympic and Paralympic Games in Paris on the horizon, WADA needed to act fast and appointed a highly respected independent prosecutor to examine the matter and to conduct a thorough review of WADA's handling of the matter. The interim conclusions of Mr. Cotier were presented on the 9th of July to the Executive Committee and were crystal clear. There was no evidence that WADA had showed favoritism, nor was there any interference or irregularity when WADA decided not to appeal the China decision. And this was considered as reasonable, both from the point of view of the facts and the applicable rules. Whereas we look forward to receive the final report of the independent prosecutor later this year, this will not change at all these conclusions, but we look forward to receive some recommendations for the future. But despite these very clear conclusions, the attempts to damage the reputation and credibility of WADA continued. And I really appreciated that diplomatic and conciliating approach of the American representative in the WADA Executive Board. But several United States initiatives based upon this case on Chinese, so consequently foreign soil, are extremely worrying and basically for us unacceptable. They are the result of the famous Rodchenko Act that we have already questioned many times in the past. The United States Congress hearing, letters from the United States Senate, a US federal criminal investigation regarding an anti-doping case on a foreign territory, to our colleague, the Executive Director of World Aquatics, to testify as a witness in the U.S. investigation regarding this challenge of water, also undermines the integrity of the international sports competitions. This is especially very disappointing after the unanimous approval of the recent WADA governance reforms that I believe resulted from the Olympic movement and public authorities in the good governance of WADA and the credibility of the anti-doping system. And what to think about the recent declaration of the United States Anti-Doping Agency chief executive suggesting to the Associated Press that a federal investigation could make sport officials traveling to the United States fearful that they may have not to answer questions about their... Actually, this is another example of the politicization of sport, the abuse of sport for political reasons and recuperation. Be the impact on our events, on the events that international federations already allocated to the United States, and what should we think when we are considering the allocation of future events to the United States? And what is the risk that they are going to be impacted by another geopolitical crisis? I would have raised this question, of course, yesterday when we had a presentation from Los Angeles 28, but these games are already allocated and in full preparation, whereas we have to decide today on the allocation of Salt Lake City, and again, an excellent bid. I listened very carefully also when Jean Sykes yesterday spoke about global camaraderie that you made today, that you listened to our concerns and that you take them very seriously. But we really need to understand what is going to happen in the future and where is this going to end. I know that the representatives here present of the United States National Olympic Committee and Salt Lake City most probably cannot provide today the firm guarantees we want or we need. Or maybe the governor and major, above all the political parties, can help with this. But I believe that we're taking the vote today, a clear statement on how our concerns will be addressed by concrete actions would be highly appreciated to put us back in our comfort zone so that we can support this excellent and exciting bid and so that your dream can come true, which is what I truly hope. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeVos, and I give now the floor to Mr. Jae-Yul Kim as the president of the International Skating Union. Mr. Kim.
Thank you, President. Dear Jean, dear Mr. Fraser Bullock, Governor Cox, Mayor Mendenhall, Danny, Lindsay, and Kathleen, thank you very much for your inspiring and emotional presentation. Before I put on my IF hat, your presentation remind me of the journey that I went through delivering the games in 2018. And it's so amazing to see your story, and thank you very much. I really appreciate it. As a president of International Federation, there's so many things that I love about your bid. Just to name a few, Salt Lake City is a great winter sports city that hosts many international events. For ISU, we go there at least twice a year for our events, and they are successful. More importantly, you have very compact and sustainable plan that is fully aligned with Agenda 2020 +5. And it's very assuring to see so many citizens of Utah camping out overnight to show their support. And this is what Olympic is about. I really appreciate it. And if awarded, I'm sure that 2034 Games in Salt Lake City can provide unique Olympic experience for the athletes and for the fans and inspire many young minds throughout the world. The Winter Olympic Federation, WOF, is excited about the prospects of returning to Salt Lake City 32 years after the successful 2002 game, just as summer colleagues in this room are excited to be back in Paris after 100 years. And I also like to thank Jean and Mr. Bullock for addressing our concern regarding the recent development around anti-doping and WADA. I appreciate the strong commitment and the statement of Jean and Mr. Bullock. I briefly want to echo the concern raised by our colleague Igmar and emphasize a statement that WOF made on this topic recently. WOF welcomes the report of the independent prosecutor that there were no irregularities by WADA in handling the case related to Chinese swimmers. WOF also respects the decision of WADA Executive Committee to approve the independent report. We respect and support WADA as a supreme authority in the global fight against doping. Specific concerns that we have around this issue or the latest development is one, the risk of non-compliance of the US with the World Anti-Doping Code, which could be detrimental to the sporting ecosystem. And the second, risk of undermining the solidarity of the global anti-doping system when countries start adopting their own individual approaches. And the third, risk of creating fear among officials and athletes traveling to the US. Salt Lake City is an amazing winter sports city. I personally love it. And there's a strong relations. And again, I really appreciate the Bullock and your understanding, your full understanding of what we are worried about. So we hope that the sporting movements, public authorities, and all in the US also understand and address the serious concerns that we have around this issue. And we are all committed to making our sports clean. So let's work together to achieve that goal with WADA. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kim. And I now give the floor to Mr. Humphrey Kayange as athletes representative in the WADA Executive Board. Mr. Kayange.
Thank you, dear Mr. President, dear colleagues. I would like to offer an athlete's perspective in light of the recent developments. Firstly, I want to congratulate Salt Lake City on their successful bid and impressive presentation. Your dedication to athletes and their families' experience being central to the games is truly special and reflects why we all have a passion for sport. So thank you very much for that. The issue around the contamination case involving the 23 Chinese swimmers, which led to an investigation by an independent Swiss prosecutor, as earlier mentioned by my colleagues. The interim report was welcomed by the WADA Athletes Council for its clarity and transparency, which confirmed no wrongdoing on WADA's part. Both the WADA Athletes Commission and the IOC Athletes Commission appreciated WADA's openness to the recommendations made by the independent prosecutor, considering it an important step in rebuilding athletes' trust in the system. For the WADA AC and the IOC Athletes Commission, WADA and the anti-doping community, we must learn from this case and focus on strengthening the system. The WADA Athletes Council is actively listening to athletes' concerns and is open to the recommendations, improvements to the process, the code, and international standards. The IOC Athletes Commission is committed to collaborating with the WADA Athletes Council on this matter. Additionally, protecting athletes from leaking of their personal and sensitive data has been identified as an area that requires attention, as well as addressing concerns around the safety of athletes and the survival of the global anti-doping system. The implications of such actions could have far-reaching impacts on athletes from various parts of the world. It is imperative to uphold the fundamental principles of the fight against doping, which include the protection of athletes' health, respect, and fairness. These principles encompass not only adherence to rules, but also mutual and bringing the world together is more significant than ever. This call for unity is equally vital within the anti-doping community. WADA and the fight against doping should not be leveraged to create division, but rather to promote ethics in sport in support of Olympic values, to foster international cooperation, and to protect athletes' health and the integrity of clean athletes. Despite these concerns, and listening to Jean and Fraser earlier on, I am confident that with the support of the US OPC, LA 28, and the Salt Lake City's bid, we have ambassadors who uphold a unified global anti-doping system under the leadership of WADA, an important message to the athletes, and hope this will be echoed by more partners. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kayange. This is the situation with which the Executive Board has been confronted and has been intensively discussed also with our friends from Salt Lake City, Utah, and in particular with US OPC and our friend Jean Sykes. We have been considering how we could best address this situation and have come to the conclusion that this could happen by amending the Olympic host city contract, because we firmly believe that this option would open the way for discussions amongst all stakeholders after the Olympic Games Paris 2024 to come to a satisfactory solution in the interest of the integrity of the fight against doping. And we all have heard the clear commitments of Salt Lake City, Utah there this morning, and again of the president of USOPC, our friend Jean Sykes, to initiate and support such a discussion to come to a solution which is supported by all the stakeholders. Having said this, I would now like to invite our Vice President, Mr. John Coates, in his capacity as chair of the Legal Commission, to explain a little bit in more detail this amendment to the Olympic host city contract, which we had discussed together.
Thank you, Mr. President. Considering the issue in connection with WADA, USADA, and the US authorities, including Congress, the Rodchenkov Anti-Doping Act, and considering that it's a must, I stress the word must, for the various authorities to fully respect the supreme authority of WADA, the IOC has reinforced the current language of the Olympic host contract in order to protect the integrity of the international anti-doping system and to allow the IOC to terminate to terminate. The Olympic host contract if, and here I quote, in cases where the supreme authority of the World Anti-Doping Agency in the fight against doping is not fully respected, or if the application of the World Anti-Doping Code is hindered or undermined. Well, we are pleased to inform you that both the state of Utah and the USOPC have fully supported this addition and have already signed the Olympic host contract. But more than that, and I say this in the knowledge and on the basis that verbal assurances and commitments are as binding as the written under the Olympic host contracts. The assurances, presentations you make in this, they're all being recorded. And they're as binding. And I particularly noted President Fraser Bullock and USOPC President Gene Sykes, a candidate for election as an IOC member later today. I noted their clear and unambiguous statements that they and their organisation are partnering with the IOC in the discussions that must, to say that word again, must be had with the various US authorities to ensure that they fully respect the supreme authority of WADA and that the application of the World Anti-Doping Code is not hindered or not undermined. We appreciated that, and we are very much looking forward to, as soon as possible after these Paris Games, working with you to achieve those statements. So, President, I hand the floor back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coates. And now I'm opening the floor to you, my dear colleagues and friends, for any questions you may have. Monsieur Guidru.
Oui, thank you, Mr. President. Now, as many French people speak English here, I try to do the same, above all out of consideration for our friends of Salt Lake City, American friends. Fraser Bullock, congratulations. Congratulations to you and to your team for the quality of your presentation. And I take the occasion as a veteran gold medalist to say hello to our friends who are around you now on the floor. Be sure that you invite us to come into your dream. You need a big place, because we are a lot of. Just some words to my friend, our friend, Anita de France. We all knew and appreciate the experience of Anita, IOC experience, and especially Games organization experience. Thank you, Anita, to prove, if necessary, that summer athletes, especially when it is for your country, to prove that the summer athletes can love the winter games. And you know me, Mr. President, some funny words to conclude. Before, when I hear the name of Bullock, Sandra was coming on my eyes. Now it will be Salt Lake City. Thank you.
Mrs. Sari Essaya.
Dear President, dear colleagues, I would also like to start by congratulating Salt Lake City 2034 on their excellent bid. It was so great to hear that 80% public support is there for the games. It's exceptionally high. And also it was so nice to hear about the legacy of the Salt Lake City 2002. Also that the existing venues which can be used tomorrow. This is really great from the sustainability perspective. And also the promise to take care of the families of the athletes. That's great too. But then we hear some concerns from our colleagues, and these concerns heard by our colleagues are real, and we must not ignore them. But we also heard very strong and determined commitments from our colleagues that the US OPC LA 2028 and the Salt Lake City 2034 will do everything to ensure the Olympic values and the university of the Games. And these are celebrated and respected in the United States. I was also encouraged by the word of Fraser Bullock and our colleague Jean Sykes, who both expressed strong support for WADA and the global anti-doping system. And I welcome EB recommendation to strengthen the host city contract, allowing us to remote the games should WADA, supreme authority in the protection of clean sport, not be respected. The fact that the bidding committee has already accepted these new conditions is a further guarantee that Salt Lake City 2034 will be a celebration of university and friendship. And for these reasons and the exceptionally of the bid, I support Salt Lake City 2034, and I trust that all my colleagues here also will recognize that the recommendations of our board is the pragmatic course of action. This project is a great example of legacy fully aligned with the ambitions of the IOC. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Esaya. Mrs. Britta Heidemann.
Thank you so much for your presentation, which was excellent. I also want to refer to the athlete family program that Lindsay referred to. Speaking from an athlete's perspective, I think that this is far overdue. And we have experienced here in Paris with Tony Estanguet as an athlete being head of taking care of the athletes' wishes. I think, Lindsay, go on with that, and it's excellent that you are bringing forward such ideas, and the athletes will thank you for that, and I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Heidemann. Princess Riemann.
Thank you, Governor Cox, for what a spectacular presentation, and Lindsay and the whole team. In my time in the United States, what I've recognized is the separation of organizations that you have that are responsible for either legislation, regulation, and I would highly encourage the Olympic Committee and the great state of Utah to really work with the Olympic Committee and its experts, perhaps to come and visit your congressmen and your senators to explain the processes and the impacts perhaps of some of their decisions. I understand that the United States of America operates under the rule of law magnificently, and this organization is here to support you. Your venues are exceptional, your people are wonderful, and I could imagine no better place than Salt Lake City to host these games. So please consider this organization at your service to help you really achieve the goal of not only excellence in sports, which we all know that you have, but to help create the legislative environment through your Congress that can actually support and not only allow you to excel, but be a leader in what we all know can be true of these games that will happen in Salt Lake City. So I send you many good wishes, and to the good people of Utah.
Thank you very much, Madame Helmuta Wackel.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Thank you to the entire team for a wonderful presentation, which I listened
very carefully, and I really highly appreciated each and every input that came from each and every one of you. I attended the games back in 2000, early 2000, right after the 9/11, and it was a really a bad souvenir for all of us. And I still remember when we had to go to the games. It was really complicated entering the country at that moment because of security processes. And I still remember some IOC members from our family attended those games, but at the airport spending endless hours and hours. I know security is at the top of our priorities, and it's even number one priority to have the games be a successful event. So I know time passed by and it's been a long time, but security is always number one and should stay number one. And just to make things go swifter and very nicely, I'm just asking about the visa process. I'm sure you will do all you can to, just like in 2028 LA Games, to make every country's athletes enter securely, swiftly, and that's for your question. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madame El Mutawakel. Mr. Luis Mejia.
Gracias, Presidente. Thank you very much, President. I'll speak in Spanish. Este caso tiene una. I think that. Me voy a referir fundamentalmente a
perhaps I should refer to the points made by Mr. De Vos. And he was speaking on behalf of the international federations as new president. And he said that there was a distinction to be made. He said there was a presentation on Salt Lake City, which has just been completed. It was a dynamic presentation and one which we all really liked. This presentation is a source of pride as to what could be done when organizing our Olympic Games. But there is also a frontier, a barrier, where you've got principles and also the principle of respect that belongs to it. And what has just happened with WADA, which is the main authority to which we delegated responsibility to deal with questions of anti-doping. And that is an organization whose principles have to be respected. You cannot have a single nation that takes the privilege of being above all the laws.
Suerte que esto a 10 días antes, esto que ocurrió con los nadadores.
Now, we know what happened 10 days ago with the swimmers. All our federations are deserving of respect. And I think it is exactly the International Olympic Committee. All the things we do are based on principles. What concerns me is that suddenly it may appear that there are authorities that go beyond the international organizations or try to supersede them. It could be any authority in our organization that could take things to a court of justice. I think this has to be something that we are fully aware of. Because in the next decades, in the next 10 years, we're going to give the authority to Los Angeles to organize the Summer Games. And I also voted as the Commission. We also have given our approval to 2034 for Salt Lake City. So the organization, the movement has always believed in the United States, has always believed in your athletes, and there was a fantastic presentation that you made. But at the same time, I think we need to call attention to the fact that there is a distinction that needs to be made, and all our laws must be taken into account. And I'm very happy that John Coates presented an amendment. And I believe that this is something which needs to be respected. We've got to ensure that our organization, that our athletes respect the codes that have been accepted at the international level, which is the one that has been done by WADA, and also the question of anti-doping. So we need to separate the different cases. I think we need to welcome the presentation, but I did want to express my concern. I think that we need to ensure that we respect all these principles and accept our responsibilities. But I would like to finish by saying congratulations to Salt Lake City for the presentation, but I did want to express my concern. Thank you, President. Thank you, Mr. Mejia.
No more requests for questions. Therefore, I hand over to our friends from Salt Lake City, Utah, to answer the questions and comments.
Thank you, President, and thank you all of the members who have offered their perspectives and raised questions. So on the broad issue of the respect for WADA, I want to offer some comments and then make a commitment to all of you. On behalf of all of the organizations that you've seen in the past couple of days, LA, Salt Lake City, the USOPC, we are committed to fostering WADA's authority. As WADA's authority is crucial for the opportunity to provide clean sport for athletes and give them confidence that they can be protected. So our view is that this is of paramount importance, and we take your concerns very seriously. There were a few comments about the recommendations that will come in the final report from the investigator, Mr. Cotier, as well as the recommendations in the report of World Aquatics. Those recommendations offer us some opportunity to begin a dialogue and begin the process of solving this issue. And we are committed to solving this issue. We will do that. We respect the treatment that we've had, the very open conversations and dialogue, and we certainly accept the obligations and responsibility inherent in the amendment to the Olympic host contract. So from our perspective, we take very seriously to heart all of your comments, and we pledge to you that we will be good partners and we will support with you this very, very important institution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sykes. Mr. Fraser Bullock.
Yes, thank you, Gene. Thank you, President Bach. We've been at this for 22 years. And something like this happens. Has nothing to do with us, but it has to do with our country, and it has to do with the Olympic movement and the Paralympic movement. And so we've got to get this right. And when I look at the situation right now, we need to bridge the gap and bring everybody together. And the genius of the amendment in the host city contract brings pressure to make that happen. We can be a catalyst. And as the governor talks about, we roll in Utah, we have the Utah way where we can help in our way bring parties together to work on this problem now. And you have our commitment to do so, and you have ultimate protection in the amendment to the host city contract. So we implore you to make our journey, which has been 22 years, as we move forward, one that we can celebrate now and continue to work forward together. Thank you.
Thank you, President Bach, and to all of you for your concerns. As governor of the state of Utah, I just wanted to share a couple things that I think are important. Let me start by saying that we also decry the politicization of sports and what we're seeing, not just in our country, but in other places across the globe. We want you to know that we are your allies in this process, that of course transparency and accountability are important in the fight against doping, and we support WADA in every way possible. I also just have to say it's easy to say to talk about the problem and to say we understand the concerns. Sometimes we admire the problem, but it's more than that. We are committed to actually fixing the problem. And our commitment to you is that we will use the politics of our offices, the mayor and I, together to work with the current administration and whatever future administration, the federal government, with elections happening in the United States, that we will work, excuse me, with our members of Congress, that we will use all the levers of power open to us to resolve these concerns. We will work with, again, whoever the president of the United States is starting in January of next year, that we will work closely with them to alleviate your concerns and to make any changes that are necessary to make that happen. So we are fully committed, not just saying it on stage, but committed in purpose and in practice to alleviating the concerns that you have, bringing us together to unite as sport always does, and to prove to you that we can fulfill the host contract as amended, as currently written, to alleviate your concerns and bring the Winter Olympics to Salt Lake City. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Salt Lake City, Utah, for your clear words. Dear friends and colleagues, before we proceed now with the vote, let me try to summarize this discussion, this very healthy and open discussion among friends. And I say clearly among friends, because as you have been outlining, the issues under discussion are in no way caused by Salt Lake City, Utah, or USOPC, or by the state of Utah, or by the city of Salt Lake City, or by the population of Utah. You really, as Fraser Bullock has explained, you have nothing to do with this. And it is very unfortunate, and I'm sorry for you and for us that this issue arose now at the time when it comes to your election. You do not only have nothing to do with this, I think you were also extremely clear in your commitment to the integrity of the international fight against doping and the supreme authority of WADA, which, by the way, has been established and whose rules have been set in full agreement with the United States of America at the time, and where the United States of America is duly represented there in the different boards. But you have not only made your verbal commitment, you have also shown that you are really standing for a clean sport and for a commitment to promote a clean sport and to assist and maybe be a catalyst even to find a way out of this unfortunate situation, which again, nobody in the Olympic movement appreciates. And we are all looking forward how to get out of this. And there having you at our side is very well appreciated. We also have been taking note of your brilliant presentation and of a fantastic Olympic project. I may say it's very easy to sell such a project. You need not to be a brilliant marketeer to present such a fantastic Olympic project, which is indeed offering the best conditions possible for the athletes and for everybody interested in the Olympic Games, and this in particular in times when we have to address different challenges with regard to winter sport and the Olympic Winter Games. So weighing up all this issue which has been risen, the presentation, the project, the amendment to the host city contract in cooperation and full agreement, then this leads the IOC Executive Board to propose to you, my dear friends and colleagues, to elect the Salt Lake City, Utah 2034 as the host of the 27th Olympic Winter Games 2034. And for the vote, I'm handing over to the IOC Director General.
Thank you, President. The smart card will now be distributed by the IOC administration while the Salt Lake City delegation is taking their seats. So we will proceed with the vote. The subject matter of the vote, Olympic Winter Games 2034. In accordance with Rule 18.5.1, the following members may not take part in the vote. This is Ms. Anita de France and Mr. David Agati. Both are asked to hand in the smart card to a member of the staff, and the smart card will be returned to you after the vote. So does everyone have a voting keypad and a smart card? Not yet, I see. Wait a few seconds more. So everyone apparently has a keypad and a smart card. So this is the case, then I'm going to request the opening of the vote. The vote is now open. Can you please help Mrs. Lindberg Gunilla, all fine? So did everyone have the opportunity to vote? See no hands, so I'm going to declare the vote closed. The vote is now closed.
Dear friends and colleagues, dear Salt Lake City, Utah delegation, the International Olympic Committee has the honor to announce that the 27th Olympic Winter Games 2034 are awarded to Salt Lake City, Utah.
Wow. Utah, it is official. The 2034 Winter Olympics are coming to Utah. That is an announcement that has thrilled this crowd. Many of them have been here most of the afternoon and evening. And there are hundreds of people here waving flags. They've been letting off fireworks. They've been chanting. And that was the news that we were all hoping for. Boy, you can sure feel the energy here in Salt Lake City. What's it like there in Paris, Mike?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Deanie, it's nothing like what we're seeing out there. That is incredible to see the amount of people that are out there on Washington Square this morning and the excitement surrounding it. We actually weren't sure how many people were going to show up there just because it's so early in the morning. But my, oh my, it is so cool to see. We're now looking again back inside as they continue to talk. This, what you're seeing here, some of the delegation, not the ones who were inside the actual event, but this is a local restaurant here in Paris. And so, yeah, it's a little more subdued than what's going on in Salt Lake City. There's no fireworks there. Everyone is prim and proper as they've eaten whatever they've had, maybe a few croissants and crepes there this morning and some casual clapping there. But hey, nonetheless, very, very excited here in Paris. And you know what? I'm going to take all the sirens that we hear around here, all the police cars and fire trucks that seem to be going on 24/7. I think all the police here are very excited that the Olympics are coming to Paris. So again, they're clapping again. We're going to check in with Tamara Villafanua here in a few moments here. She's actually in that restaurant there as they heard the news, and we'll get a response from her and kind of get the feel in there. So we're getting the after effects, right? They already know that we received the Olympics here, but we'll get to talk to them a little bit later. Lori Pritchard is live as well, and we got Deanie back there.
But this is exciting, and we have Lori Pritchard here, who is also here with the crowd celebrating at Washington Square. Lori, let's hear from you.
All right, I am in the middle of the crowd right now. I'm going to step aside so you can see all the people behind me. Can we hear some excitement? enormous crowd for the last 2 hours watching and waiting for the official announcement that the Winter Games coming back to Salt Lake City in 2034. And here's what I've noticed more than anything, because as you watch this presentation, you heard Governor Cox talking about bridging the gap and bringing people together. And that is exactly what we have seen at this hour in the middle of the night. We've seen families, we've seen friends getting together to celebrate the Olympics, coming back here to Salt Lake City. And I want to introduce you to this lovely family. Are you sleepy? You're a little tired. Okay, tell me your name.
I'm Ashley.
Okay, Ashley, I've been watching you with your family as you've been awaiting this announcement. Tell me, why did you bring your kids down here?
So in 1995, they announced the 2002 Olympics, and I stood in this very spot.
How old were you?
I was 12. So I wanted these guys to experience the same thing and just be part of the moment and part of history and just feel the excitement, because there really is a vibe down here.
Well, not to mention the fact that you're decked out in your Olympic garb. Are you excited to have the Olympics back in Salt Lake City? Yeah. What's your name? Are you going to go to bed after this, or are you going to watch the parade?
We're going to bed. We are going to bed.
Okay, I'm going to come. Are you grandparents?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what this means for you, because you've seen since 2002 what the Olympics meant for Salt Lake, to have it come back.
I think that's had such a great impact on the community, the state. We've had so many great experiences. When we had the Olympics here, had people from out of state, our family, and we were running from dawn to dark, and it was just incredible. And we were at the half pipe up at Park City, and it was just experiences we'll never forget. It was just awesome.
Well, thank you so much for being here, all of you. And you can go to bed now. It's the party is starting to wrap up a little bit. So much excitement here at Washington Square here in the middle of the night. And there's even more excitement to come. Dan Spindle is live at the University of Utah with more on. They are going to light the fire within, Dan.
Lori, not just light the fire within, but light the fire without. I feel like an audience of one here. If you take a look behind me, yes, the cauldron is blazing here. You can probably see it from where you all are down at Washington Square, but just a few moments ago, they flipped the switch, and yes, 115 feet above Rice-Eccles Stadium, you have the Olympic cauldron. And if you don't remember, maybe it's been a while, maybe you're thinking back to 2002, this was the first translucent Olympic cauldron, and that was to suggest fire and ice, of course, the Winter Olympic Games, 2002, and now, of course, 2034. It's hard to say that a big 10 years in the future. 2034 will be an incredible time. And just look at that flame lit up. We've been awaiting this symbol of the Olympic Games. We're going to talk a lot more about it throughout the morning. But I was looking at just over 100 years ago, the original founder of the Games wrote what's called the Olympic Oath. And he said that the athletes should compete in the spirit of competition for the honor of country and for the glory of sport. Nothing more glorious than this sight of the Olympic flame in the cauldron now burning above Salt Lake City to signal that, yes, we will once again get those games in about 10 years, less than, and the countdown begins now. Mike Hedrick in Paris now. Mike, what's going on?
Well, it's much quieter out here than it is in Salt Lake City. It's so cool, though. It really is fun to sit here and watch and just see all the excitement there, because it is quiet here. To the people of Paris, maybe this isn't a really big deal. I'm guessing it's not, as they got the games here to take care of. But it is for us. And so it's so cool to be out here and to be able to witness that. So, Dan, thanks very much. Let's head into Alex right now. Now, Alex was in that meeting when we got the okay 5 minutes ago that said, yes, Salt Lake City, Utah, you are getting the Olympics for 2034. Alex, you're in the mix zone. For people who don't know what the mix zone is, it's kind of where a lot of times it's where athletes are and you get to interview athletes. But in a situation like this, it's where we've got the entourage or the delegation from Utah that is there. And hopefully you'll have a chance to talk to some of them after this meeting today.
That's right. That's right. The mix zone, basically, people don't know, it's just a fancy term for after an athletic competition. It's where the athletes are required to go to so that we can interview them as media members. Now, they don't have to stop and talk to us. They can keep going, but they are required to come through. Those are at venues. And right now, Le Palais des Congrès here in Paris, this is kind of considered a venue for what just happened with that vote. So we are getting some of our Utah and Salt Lake City delegation. They're celebrating in the main auditorium there right now where you saw that vote happen, but they should be coming through here any minute now, and we will grab them as we come along. We hear Governor Cox is going to be coming through, Mayor Mendenhall, Fraser Bullock, Lindsey Vaughn. We're going to be able to get a chance to chat with them live, and we'll bring you their reactions firsthand as to that vote that just happened. But Mike, what an amazing occasion. This is something I know this committee has been working on for at least 6-7 years. There were discussions even before then, even way back before the London Olympics. I actually covered the 2012 London Olympics. And I remember sitting in a hotel with Fraser Bullock asking him about, hey, can we do this again? Is that something Salt Lake City would be interested in? And he kind of looked at me and said, we might be talking about that as we speak, getting ready to do that. And then the committee got together right before COVID, started having those first discussions, those first meetings. COVID hit, which kind of slowed things down, but this committee kept going forward, looking at the paperwork, looking at what we needed to do, looking at making sure our venues were going to be upgraded and maintained, and go from there. And that all led to what happened here today. We certainly had a lot of discussions about the Olympics in the past year. It seemed like a whole bunch of meetings when the purpose of these meetings and votes could get a little confusing at times when you hear preferred host city, all these other terms. But that all led to what happened here today with a formal vote by the International Olympic Committee that Salt Lake City will get the 2034 Winter Olympics. Now, listening to that, to the words there by the IOC, it looked like that doping was a big concern of theirs. Give some perspective on that. There was a big doping scandal that just broke with some Chinese swimmers going into the Tokyo Olympics. It looked like there were some 20 or so Chinese swimmers who had tested positive going into the Tokyo Olympics. Some of them continue to compete, and that's why the IOC was very concerned about what the United States was going to do in order to control and limit doping and take that stuff seriously. So that's why you heard a lot of those doping questions, but it looks like our committee, they calmed, they had the concerns issued, and obviously led to that vote with us getting the Winter Olympics. So we will hang out here and wait for our delegation to come through. Let's go now to Tamara, who's standing by downstairs in the Rural Restaurant with some of the people from our Salt Lake Committee, also part of this celebration. Tamara, what does it look like down there?
Hey, Alex. Yeah, we're at the Rural Restaurant, not too far from the hall where the IOC made that official vote. And I got to say, the crowd behind me here at the restaurant, captivated by the whole process. It was really interesting to kind of get the reaction, especially like when they played the Salt Lake video. But I do want to bring in Caitlin Eskelsen, the president and CEO of Visit Salt Lake. You were talking to me about how you first came to Utah in 2002 during the Winter Olympics. Here we are, full circle. You are leading the charge as far as tourism, bringing people into Salt Lake City. How are you feeling about this huge announcement?
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible that we get to go through this, yet another time. And it's just an amazing time to be in Salt Lake.
It seemed like the committee members were really captive. They were really intrigued, or impressed rather, with the fact that 80% of Utahns are on board with bringing games back to Utah. As the Visit Salt Lake CEO here, what does that mean for you? You got 10 years of work ahead of us.
I mean, it's a once in a generation opportunity. We get to do this on behalf of our kids and all the youth in Utah. And so it's so exciting. I think we're going to see a ton of infrastructure development and excitement build up to the next 10 years. So it's just a very exciting time. And it's also going to catapult us into that global stage.
The delegation also talked about making the games more inclusive, bringing families, making it accessible to athletes' families who are really part of the Olympic experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Utah is home to many families, and that's kind of what we're anchored in. And so it's exciting to be able to do this for our future and just lay that groundwork for everyone at home.
Caitlin, being here in Paris and getting this feel of this Olympic spirit, now we got the official announcement. How are you feeling?
It's incredible. I mean, there is nothing less than incredible about hosting an Olympics, all of it. So we're so excited to be here on the ground and just kind of spread the word of Utah and Salt Lake.
All right, we'll celebrate now. Thanks so much, Caitlin Eskelsen with Visit Salt Lake. So that's what's happening here right now. We're going to be getting some more of the delegation making their way here. But let's go ahead and see what Lori's up to, because all I'm hearing is a lot of cheering coming from Salt Lake right now. I love it, Lori.
Oh my gosh, it has been such a party here in Salt Lake City. We're also speaking a little French here. Bienvenue en Utah. That has been the theme this morning. People are excited to have those games back here in Utah. And I want to introduce you to someone because I think this is a really special story. This is Olivier. He is from France. He became an American citizen yesterday. Congratulations.
Yesterday. Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me, you were celebrating not once, but twice because the French are getting the Olympics once again in 2030 and then Salt Lake in 2034.
Yeah, exactly. I'm from the Alps, so my family is about a few miles away from where the game is going to be in 2030, and I live in Sandy, so I'm going to be in 2034, so I'm going to get a lot of games. Yeah.
Okay, tell me, because I'm curious, what brought you from France to the United States?
Oh, I went here from work many years ago, and when I came to Utah because I love skiing, I love the outdoors, and I came 6 years ago. So I'm so happy because now I can go in France and here, and I'm going to get the Olympics.
And what made you want to become an American citizen?
Oh, you know, I like French food and everything, but the more I come back in France, I'm like, I feel like an American right now. It was time. And so I decided really to do everything I can and became American yesterday, just before Pioneer Day. Yeah.
Congratulations. And I just want to point out, he really looks like an American at this point. You are dressed in red, white, and blue, but of course, you have your French flag as well, because of course the Summer Olympic Games are starting in Paris on Friday with the opening ceremony. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
We're proud to have you as an American citizen. Thanks so much for stopping to talk to me.
Congrats, SLC.
But once again, as I've mentioned, there are so many people, friends, families down here celebrating the announcement of the 2034 Olympic Games here. A lot of excitement, but the crowd is probably gone to the food trucks. You can smell the food wafting over here where we're standing. I know, Dan Spindle, though, you were out at Eccles Stadium, a party of one, but it's still a party, right?
Yes, I'm trying to keep myself, excited here, Lori. This, if you've been to a game out here at Rice Eccles Stadium, this is nothing like that. There should be 50,000 people around me here atop the stadium, but I'm happy to be here to let everybody know below, because your half marathon participants for the D-News Marathon, they're down there getting on the buses. So, hey, everybody, Salt Lake City's hosting the Winter Olympics. Yeah, that's right. Woo! Okay. Hey, listen, I wish I could say I was the one that lit the cauldron here. Really, they flipped a switch, and now we have that beaming, bright symbol of hope. As you heard them say, they're from Paris. It's exciting to think in the past and the memories of '02. But what this is about is Olympic legacy, really paving the way for 2034 and looking ahead to the future. Again, 115 feet of this beautiful cauldron that was at Craft 11. This was that patriotic feeling that we all felt at the beginning of 2002. And what a wonderful thing to think about what it'll mean for all of us, for our kids, and maybe grandkids. Once the time it rolls around 10 years from now, it's going to be a decade of planning, a lot of busy work. But today, it's a day of celebration. So to all of you back there at Washington Square, I'm going to toss it back to Deanie, and I'll see you all in a bit. But for now, I will stand here statuesque, celebrating.
Nice, Dan. Yeah, that sight of the cauldron is so welcome. What a glorious event, and it's a symbol that it's official. And it's been such a long time. You know, the energy here at Washington Square is, you can just feel it. You'd never know it's 4:30 in the morning, because this is the announcement that we've been waiting to hear for so long. And it wasn't as much a surprise as it is an exciting thing to see. And you can see people are still standing around, just soaking it up, cheering, enjoying. Look at the size of the crowd. I think a lot of people were surprised that so many people would come here. Some of them are in their pajamas, others aren't, but just wanting to take part of this moment in history. As Dan said, we have 10 years now to make a lot of plans, and this is going to pave the way for a lot of transformation in Utah. But the celebration is something we've just been waiting for, and it is welcome tonight to a lot of people who stayed up in the early morning hours. And so from here, they will start to make their way a lot back to the parade route. You can imagine how energetic this parade will be this year. But yeah, Mike, here in Salt Lake, it's just feeling great. We are officially a host city.
Deanie, I'm a little bit jealous. I know that seems weird because I'm in Paris, France. So why in the world would I be jealous at this time with the Olympics behind me? But when I see what's going on there after that announcement, it would have been so great just to be there in that moment because, again, it's business as usual here. Traffic behind me, same kind of stuff. And so they're not feeling here what we're all feeling within ourselves. So I'm so excited. I'm so glad you all got to be there as well. Alex Cabrera joins us live right now. And Alex, you were just there inside the same building, inside the same room where this announcement came and said that Salt Lake is going to get the games officially in 2034. And here's the thing, Alex, let's just talk here for a moment, right? Because the first, I want to say half hour, 45 minutes, it was all hype, right? We had the video, we had all these great things, awesome things that were said about Utah, Salt Lake, about the people, about the venues, about the history there. And then all of a sudden we go into another 45, 50 minutes where they're talking about WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association, and how they just want to make sure that, Salt Lake is on board to make sure that, okay, we support WADA. They are the official rule. We're not going to go after them for anything that we think is wrong. And so it really, even though we're excited by this, it really that meeting took a little bit of a turn, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely, Mike. And the reason why is because this is really the first time the full International Olympic Committee has been able to meet as an entire group since that kind of scandal broke with those Chinese swimmers that just broke in the last month or so, and they're talking about the swimming that happened just before the Tokyo Olympics. So very embarrassing for those that were involved in this, and the International Olympic Committee really wanted to talk about it, not only amongst each other, but also with Salt Lake City, simply because, look, we've heard of doping scandals before. I mean, Russia has been involved with this. Just in the Beijing Games, they had that figure skater who got into some trouble for a banned substance while she was able to perform, won a medal. Now we're wondering, is that medal going to be stripped? So yeah, there is something that was involved with this that the full International Olympic Committee wanted to address, and they had the Salt Lake City Committee right there, the full Salt Lake City Committee, to say, look, we need to take this seriously. Will Salt Lake City take this seriously? Now, as I understand it, some of Fraser Bullock's speech had to be amended just a little bit in the past 24 hours, simply because they knew that this was going to be an issue. We have somebody coming here. Hey, Governor Cox is coming. Give me 1 second. Hey, Governor. Yep, we have Governor Cox coming over here right now. We'll get Spencer in here to say hello. Yes. Are we, do you want to, we can, if you got to go first, should we get going? Your guys are okay? Okay. All right, Governor, hey. First off, congrats. Yes, we are live. Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Little nerve-wracking in there?
A little bit. There's been some developments over the past week that put this whole thing in question, but we were able to work during the week hard to resolve those, and we're just so excited to be back and to be ready to go.
Right. It was part of the doping thing when that whole thing broke with Chinese and some swimmers. This is the first time the IOC was able to meet, and they wanted to tell the delegation, we want to take this seriously. Is Salt Lake City going to take this seriously?
Yeah, we are. There was actually a question whether they would award the bid today because of that. Now, it has nothing to do with Salt Lake City, has nothing to do with our bid. It has everything to do with a law that was passed in Congress several years ago that is now being enforced in ways that some people of the IOC are not happy about. So we're going to work closely together to resolve that. But most importantly, the games are coming back. That vote, it was near unanimous, which we actually was more positive than we were expecting because of what's happening out there. And it was so cool to see thousands of Utahns at 3 a.m. celebrating together. This is what we do best, and we can't wait to bring the world back to Utah.
I heard you in your speech mention the Utah way, that spirit. We did this in 2002. We can do this again. This is a celebration. We have 10 years. But we're going to be partying for the next 10 years.
We are. We're going to be partying and working really hard. We had 60,000 volunteers back in 2002. We expect to have more than that this time because that's what we do. The Olympic spirit is alive and well in Utah. We appreciate the support back home, and we're so excited that we were finally able to deliver.
Governor, I understand Washington Square, they have us on the monitor right now. There was a pretty good turnout happening at Washington Square. What do you want to say to all them watching right now that came out early in the morning for this?
Yeah, so look, we were worried that only 10 people would show up in Washington Square, including Mike Maurer. Got to say hi to Mike Maurer. But just before we went on stage, we got an aerial shot of Washington Square, and there were tears in the eyes of all of us. We couldn't believe how many people showed up to celebrate this. It's Pioneer Day back home. I just want to give a shout out. I'm sad we're not there. We're missing the parade and the rodeos and everything. But this is such a special day for us. It's an historic day, something we will never forget. And I want to thank all of you who got up early or stayed up all night to witness this together. We are 5,000 miles apart, but it feels like we're right there, giving each other hugs and celebrating together. We're proud of you, Utah. You do it right every time.
Awesome. Governor, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'll see each other plenty. Have fun here. So you heard Governor Cox right there, just absolutely excited that Utah was able to get and Salt Lake City was able to get this bid. He mentioned the Utah way in his speech. He also, like we talked about, that doping scandal that just broke recently, that was kind of a curveball thrown to the Salt Lake Committee that they had to address that. So some speeches were changed, some concerns had to be addressed. Spencer did that, Fraser Bullock did that, Kat Rainey Norman, they all had to do at our committee, and it looks like they did just fine, that they said, look, we will take care of this. You have an ally in Salt Lake City. You have a friend in Salt Lake City. We heard that during the speeches, and it was enough to get the IOC to say, yeah, Salt Lake, not only have they done this before, they can do it again. And, you know, in a way, the IOC needs Salt Lake City. It is a solid, safe bet for Salt Lake City to host these games. They've had some trouble with some of the other cities and host cities and such, and able to do that. I see, give it Fraser. Let me see Fraser Bullock. Fraser.
I think we'll call it a night. I've got a live stream which coming up in just over 3 hours, and I need to get a bit of sleep. So for anyone who's still with me, I bid you good night, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.